trillion to fight COVID-19. Unfortunately, hundreds of millions of that ended in the hands of thieves through pandemic fraud schemes.
Besides, Patrick Nelson spent much of the last 2 years tracking these, and he's here this morning to show us how a newly appointed federal prosecutor aims to track down these criminals. Patrick?
You know, when we look back, the estimates are jaw-dropping. The Secret Service believes that $100 billion was illegally obtained from COVID relief programs. But some fraud experts say that number might be closer to $400 billion. And this isn't a victimless crime. Every dollar of that relief money was intended for someone in need, but the money never got there, and these crimes impacted consumers and businesses in Colorado. Recently, the Justice Department named Kevin Chambers as top prosecutor for serious fraud against the massive pandemic relief program.
To identify pandemic fraud, to charge and prosecute those individuals responsible for it, and whenever possible, to recover funds stolen from the American people.
Chambers vows to set up teams to analyze data that could bring new charges against people involved in pandemic fraud.
Knowing that a lot more fraud occurred, or a lot more PPP loans were administered in a certain state or a certain county, is going to help him focus efforts so he can get those quick wins early.
Before the appointment of Chambers, federal prosecutors have so far brought more than 1,000 criminal cases related to fraud losses of over $1 billion. Also, 1,800 civil cases have been filed related to over $6 billion in loans. There's now a renewed focus on fraud tied to Paycheck Protection Program loans and unemployment insurance. Fraud experts say it'll be important for Chambers to show fraudsters there really are consequences for these actions.
That's going to create that strong deterrent effect that's going to actually trickle down. It's kind of a ripple effect. So others might cooperate with an investigation, but also it's going to affect other areas of fraud and white-collar crime down the road that the government does take this seriously.
And here in Colorado, investigators are still trying to sort through what they believe are more than 1 million fraudulent unemployment claims alone. Chambers plans to set up some federal teams to try to dig through these huge amounts of data to try to get some results. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Patrick.